I've never told anyone this story before, mostly because I don't even know what to make of it myself. But after years of trying to rationalize what happened, I've finally accepted that some things just don't have explanations. This happened about 5 years ago when I was living alone in a small house in a rural part of Pennsylvania. The area was quiet, mostly surrounded by dense woods, and my nearest neighbor was about half a mile down the road. I worked late shifts, so I was usually up pretty late, watching TV or scrolling through my phone until I got tired. One night, sometime past 1 a.m., I was sitting in my living room with the TV on low when I heard a light tapping at the front door. It was so soft at first that I thought I imagined it. But then it came again, 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I remember just sitting there for a second, confused. I lived in the middle of nowhere. No one ever knocked on my door, especially not that late at night. I didn't really get scared at first, just uneasy. I stood up and approached the door. I didn't open it right away though. I looked through the peephole first. At first I didn't see anything. But then, as my eyes adjusted, I noticed a small figure standing just below the peephole's view. I could barely make them out in the darkness, but I could tell it was a child. Now, I know what you're thinking. If a child shows up at your doorstep in the middle of the night, your first instinct should be to help them. But something felt off. The kid was just standing there, head slightly lowered, not fidgeting, not looking around, just standing there. I hesitated before speaking through the door. Hello. The kid didn't answer right away. They just stood there for a few more seconds, completely still. Then, in this soft, almost mechanical voice, they said, "Can I come inside?" Something about the way they said it sent a chill down my spine. It wasn't a scared plea, or a shaky, desperate request. It was flat, emotionless, almost like they were reciting a line. I still couldn't see their face clearly, just the top of their head. "Are you lost?" I asked. "Where are your parents?" Again, silence. Then they repeated, "Can I come inside?" That was when my stomach dropped. There was something deeply wrong about this. I reached over and flicked on the porch light. As the dim yellow light spilled over the front step, I finally got a good look at the kid. They were young, maybe 6 or 7. They were barefoot, wearing a thin, dirty-looking hoodie and pajama pants. Their skin looked pale, but the worst part, the part that made my entire body go rigid, was their eyes. They were completely black, not dark brown, not shadowed, black. No whites, no pupils, just 2 glossy, pitch-black voids staring straight at me. I took a step back from the door, my heartbeat hammering in my ears. Every instinct in my body screamed at me not to open that door. The kid tilted their head slightly, as if they knew I was scared. Then, in that same lifeless voice, they said something that still haunts me to this day. "Please, we don't have anywhere to go." I don't know why, but that single word made my blood run cold. I stepped back even farther. Screw that, I thought. I'm not opening the door. Then, without another word, the kid turned around and walked away. Not ran, not stumbled, just turned and walked slowly back into the darkness of my front yard. I stood frozen at the door, watching as their small figure faded into the night. I should have felt relieved, but instead, I felt like I had just narrowly avoided something horrible. I don't know how long I stood there before I finally convinced myself to move. I locked the door, checked all the windows, and made sure every light in the house was on. Then I went to my bedroom, sat on the bed, and just listened. At some point, I must have fallen asleep, because the next thing I remember was waking up to daylight streaming through the window. I felt stupid. Maybe I had overreacted. Maybe it was just a lost kid, and I had let my imagination get the better of me. But then, as I went to step outside to check the front yard, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Tiny, barefoot footprints, dozens of them, circling my house. That was the last night I spent in that house. I don't know what I saw that night, and honestly, I don't want to. But if you ever hear a knock at your door late at night, and a child asks to come inside, don't let them in. I wasn't expecting this to blow up. To answer some common questions, no, I didn't call the police. At the time, I was too freaked out to even think straight. I did tell a friend about it later, and he told me about these urban legends of black-eyed children. I had never heard of them before, but after looking it up, yeah, I wish I hadn't. And for those asking about the footprints, I moved out a week later. I checked the next morning, and they were still there, even though it rained that night. The weirdest part? Some of them led to my bedroom window.